Hello, my name is John Tague. I'm the superintendent of schools serving the students of Fairfax, Fletcher, and Georgia. This video is for the folks of Georgia talking about some numbers related to the school, class size, staffing ratios, Act 73 information, and focus on the results, sort of what your money's paying for. So here we go. Going to start with the staffing ratio, which is a ratio of the number of students to the number of staff in the school. Currently, Georgia has 579 students in the school. Staffing ratio 110.5. That includes all of our teachers, all of our specialists, all of our paraprofessionals, our office workers, our custodians, our administrators. All of those folks are in there. Bus drivers and cafeteria workers are not included because they don't technically work for us. But when you look at that, it's a 579 students to 110 and a half staff, which puts us at a ratio of 5.24 students to staff, which is just a little bit below the Northeast average of 5.5, well above the Vermont average of 4.4. It's just a measure of again, the number of students per staff member. There's nothing magical about it. The U.S. average is 7.3, which is clearly higher than what it is, but we are well above the Vermont average, and so kind of it's always nice if we're on the right side of a sort of an average number. And as a supervisory union, we are consistently in the high end of the staffing ratio right now. This shows for FY24 that we were maintaining a 4.66 to 1 ratio. You can follow along and see that we are kind of bounces a little bit, but we're always on the high end, well above this one, which is the state average of 3.63. And if you look at all the data here, and it is chopped off, but there is only one school in the entire list, SAU 70, that has a higher ratio of 5.29 to 1. So just, again, nothing magical about the number, but it's always good when we're on the right side rather than being below the averages. Talking about class size, Act 73 does mandate class size minimums for us to be a successful school, or to meet the requirements of the law. We're a successful school no matter what. But so in first grade next year, we'll have 58 students. We're going to use 4 teachers, which puts us somewhere in the 14 to 15 class size ratio. If we were to, Act 73 requires a ratio of at least 10 to 1. So technically, we could have five first grade classes and still be well within the requirements. We work with 4 because again, we try to maintain the appropriate staffing levels. 63 students in grade 2 served by 3 teachers, so there'll be 21 students per class. Average should be 12, well above the average. We could have 5 sections. We're going to going with 3 because that we can make it work for our students. Work our way through, we're always are above the class size average. We can always add sections no matter where we are. This one down at the bottom, we're right on with the 8th graders with 60 students amongst 4 sections. Sometimes we have to make decisions based on the group of students that we're working with and what we've learned about them over the past 10 years that they've been in our school. And for this upcoming 8th grade, having 4 smaller sections, we feel is going to serve them best. But again, well within the parameters of the law and trying to serve the needs of our students in the best way possible and bearing in mind fiscal responsibility, not just adding teachers because we can. So in terms of results, these are the VTCAP scores for Georgia compared to the state. It's in a table form. These are all the Vermont averages over the course of the year, over the course of years. Here's how GEMS compares to the state. This graphic over here shows this blue line is Georgia's ELA, English Language Arts average scores, average percentage across the grades, proficient over time. The blue line is Georgia. The red line is Vermont. So we've been consistently above the line, a little, crossed over right about here, and maintaining a sort of an upward trajectory. Similarly in science, where science is this orange line compared to the blue line, we were below. We crossed over. Vermont science leveled off, and Georgia's kind of maintained a step above it. Our math scores, math is the green line, and this is where we were above it. It kind of leveled off, and we're sort of floating around the edges on the math scores, and that's what's on the VTCAP. I've got some other math data that I'll show you in a couple of slides. The thing to remember is this is a 3-hour test that's given once a year, gives us some generalized information about our students, how they're doing relative to the state, and generally speaking, we're holding our own, but maybe not making the progress that we would like to see. We typically are above the state average. So these are just some ELA scores from last year. 61, we've exceeded the state average everywhere where it's a bold number. So in 4 out of the 6 grades in ELA, we were above the state average in terms of percent proficient or above. So the total of these scores, 57% above the 55%. Similarly for math, we were above the state average in 3 of the grade levels. So that's good news. The numbers themselves, we would of course want them to be better, but compared to the state, we're doing okay. Those are the VTCAP scores. Those are one day. What we also do is we assess our students 3 times a year on the STAR, either early literacy or literacy. We get data from this assessment instantly. We can use it to target our instruction so that our students make progress. And you can see that our students tend to typically make progress as we move along in all of these areas. These are our fall numbers. The winter ones are not available right at this present moment because we've just barely closed that testing window and haven't updated. But this information is actually helpful for us to change student behavior, student performance in academics. Last year, 9% of our students were identified as needing additional support. That's one of the reasons we use this assessment, is to figure out where our students are really struggling. We identified 9% that needed additional support, and we found ways to support them over the course of the rest of that year. And hopefully that skill that they develop sticks with them and they continue to grow as readers. This is data about our math. So I just wanted to highlight that our math scores on the STAR, and this is the winter of 2026, so just barely taken. These are pretty good numbers. As you look across, like 5th grade 2023 versus 2024 versus 2025 versus 2026, you see a steady growth. If you look on a diagonal, take this 5th grade in 2023 at 16%, 23% in 2024, and 6th grade 42% in 7th grade, and 47% at the 8th grade level. So consistent growth. And this is we believe, a result of an investment that we've made in math instruction over the past 3 years, providing our teachers with a consistent instruction and methodology that they've taken, and that has absolutely impacted the way students understand mathematics. And again, the STAR is a test that we give 3 times a year. We monitor progress, we get feedback from where students need work, and we use our time to intervene and help our students perform better. That's the end of this video. It's just really about information about where what's your money buying you when you fund our school budget. You may have seen the Education Funding System Explained video. The long-term average daily membership video is also out there. This is this one, and then the next video will be a budget overview, so overview of all of the expenses associated with the Georgia's budget for next year, and the final video will be about how we calculate the tax rate and what that impact is will be on your household. So we'll get those coming along. Remember, you can vote starting on February 11th. If you're going to be out of town or your family members will be out of town, you can request an early ballot at the town office and vote immediately. Our budget information meeting, this is different. It'll be on Thursday, February 19th, 6 o'clock in the Georgia Library, GEMS Library, not the Georgia Library, totally different place. And finally, voting day, Tuesday, March 3rd, 2026 in the Georgia Gymnasium. Thanks for watching. If you have questions about any of this, please come to a board meeting, attend the information meeting, shoot us an email. Happy to answer questions, and thank you for watching.